Hello, everybody.
Hi everyone, welcome back to the show, my show. I'm Epirus, and this is my partner Qart-Hadasht.
Yes.
Right, Qart-Hadasht, explain everything to the audience.
Okay, well, so here we are. We're heading closer towards the end. This is the 15th session that was recorded in 3 parts due to various technical problems which we will get into eventually.
Yes, due to very annoying technical problems on Qart-Hadasht's end.
Yes.
And can I just say, dear viewers, I'd like for all of us to join together and bask in the glory of Qart-Hadasht's idiocy in these next few parts here.
How am I an idiot here?
Because you failed to anticipate these technical issues. It's your job to anticipate this shit, man. I'm very disappointed in your lack of professionalism.
And I'm sure you'll be able to anticipate all the problems that can happen when you're using Premiere Pro and completely be able to expect it and be able to work around it. Sure, didn't we lose? Didn't we lose?
Not me. I just follow your every whim. I'm just your slave
did we
who
not
follows your
lose?
every whim.
Did we not lose a part, what would have been a YouTube part because Premiere Pro was cocking up because of an update?
Anyway, back to the session. So what's up? What's going on here?
Well, at the moment
no need to focus on me.
At the moment, we are building up our territories, which savor this, dear viewers, because there won't be a whole lot of this footage to show. Because I'm trying to remember exactly what happened, because you're talking probably about a year or so when this was actually recorded. But I think OBS crashed. At least on one instance it crashed. The other one might have just had a bit of a glitch, but I recorded this in 3 parts, and this is the first part of it.
I give you greeting and
but
my attention for the next
as
few
we see
minutes.
here, we declare war on Epirus, which, because of Age of Hellenism, they're called Iacidi, which I think is just the name of the dynasty. So we have an army move towards Eater, which we encircle it. We then
Sure,
have this
as
army.
always, that's our usual strategy.
We move this army towards Segestica.
Yes, we know you will, because we'll order you to.
And then we send this army to attack Odysseus' Wanderers. So we have a field battle outside of Noria. It is here when the footage goes bad in the early stages of the battle. Fortunately, we have the replay, so there shouldn't really be any problems in actually seeing the battle. But from here on,
Thank Christ.
The footage
Can I just say that? Thank Christ.
Yes. From here on, the footage is more sparse when it comes to campaign. But for now, we shall see.
Right now, let's just bask in the glory of these replays here.
Yes. So
Our
we leave
life
our
savior
forces.
incarnate.
So we have our frontline troops. We have our Libby Phoenician Threo spears and the Adicenios Lankia.
We have our trusty elephants by our side.
Yes, the Atlas Elephant and our Libby Phoenician cavalry.
And who are we up against exactly?
Epirus.
Epirus. What was Epirus like?
Epirus was a Greek kingdom, kind of near the border of Illyria. Their most famous, I suppose, historical highlight was the Pyrrhic Wars, or Pyrrhic War.
Right.
Basically, their king Pyrrhus, who was a bit of a miniature genius of his day, I believe, got himself involved in some conflicts in Italy, because the Greek cities, notably Tarentum, were dealing with the Romans, having problems with the Romans. This burgeoning state of barbaric Italians. Because to the Greeks, anybody that wasn't Greek was a barbarian. So he fought these particular peoples, and he won a few battles against them, except there was a bit of a problem. His casualties in these battles were very high. To the point, it is alleged that he said something to the effect of, "One more battles like this, I am done for." Which is where we get This is where we get the term a Pyrrhic victory.
Ah, right.
A victory in which the winner takes heavy losses.
And did it end up happening?
I think he ended up losing battles.
So not exactly winning battles with like huge casualties anymore. He was just straight up losing them all the time
I believe so.
I
So
love there, man.
here we have the enemy forces. So they got some mercenary Thracian peltasts who are being pelted by my slingers. I should note that there is no relation between to pelt and a peltast.
Well, let's just hope there's no Pyrrhic victory for their end.
Well,
Let's just hope it's a straight up victory for ours.
indeed. Our cavalry is charged into both their Agrianian accent, which are actually some pretty damn good troops, and their ranged
How's-
troops.
What are they skilled at?
But their accents, so they have pretty high charge and armor piercing, and they got big shields, which means a good melee defense, and missile resistance, and decent armor, and all round good melee stats. We also see our slingers are firing upon their Calcaspides, bronze shield pikemen.
So how come he ended up getting a lot of Pyrrhic victories? Because it looks as though his army is pretty well.
Well, you see,
equipped.
one, this is a game. Things are different in the game.
Well, I know, but I mean,
In
like,
reality,
general, you
I
know?
think the whole thing was simply he was fighting against the Romans, a very aggressive, very eager, and pretty solid military. So, despite his
That's-
forces being pretty strong and him being a capable leader, the Romans were themselves a very tough opponent that he was not used to dealing with. The thing with Romans, as I said, they were a burgeoning state at the time. They were not the major power even by this period. They were just in their infancy of growing to something significant.
I guess you could say that.
But that was the case. It
Oh, I know.
wasn't
Oh,
until the
yeah.
First Punic War that they really got cemented as a superpower. And I think the Second War really cemented that. Up to that point, they were just a burgeoning city-state in Italy.
Oh, we have a good few messy casualties here.
Well, the Agrianians are certainly holding on. The enemy general is snagged by my general. Molosson again in pays. So yeah, we have a Scutari also fighting and almost up front against the pikes. Behind the pikes are maybe Phoenician Piraeus swords.
Those are some pretty big pikes there.
But that's the whole point, they are long pikes, that's the point.
No, I don't remember them being that big.
Oh, they were pretty big. That's the whole point of the pikemen, and that's the thing with the Hellenistic period. There was a bit of an arms race trying to see who could have the biggest pike.
Because I remember them. I don't know if I'm just remembering it wrong or something, but I just remember the pikes being a little bit half that size, I'd say. I don't know.
I think you're probably thinking of spears.
Oh yeah, that's probably right.
You see the spearmen there, they're carrying a pretty regular sized spear, probably about 2 meters or so.
Yeah, that makes
A
sense.
pike is at least probably twice that. I think at the peak they were probably 6 to 8 meters, maybe more. But I think they shrunk down a little bit because it was just too unwieldy to have these ginormous pikes. But yes, we are winning enough though.
The red drowns out the green.
Yes. They're getting
Look at that,
cornered.
just spoils.
Our elephants are moved in behind those pikes. And their Guineas Lanky are also fighting in the front.
We're holding off for elephants for the time being.
Seems as if the Calcaspides are somewhat surrounded by the Agenios Lankia. Yeah, there's like 4 factions in this game that have Calcaspides. Pontus, the Seleucids, Epirus, and the Antigonans, or Macedon. They have the Chalcastrians, or bronze shields, as their pikemen. I suppose they're for Bactria and Egypt are the only Hellenistic kind of Diadoc factions that don't have bronze shield pikemen. See, I think the bronze shields were a thing of the Macedons. The Macedonians had the bronze shields. Seleucids later developed bronze shields. Like, quite a bit later. But anyways, the battle is a victory.
Sure. We were expecting nothing less.
Of course. So now we're just pursuing them, routing them off. And it's certainly quite a slaughter.
Indeed. What an embarrassing way to go
The
now.
mercenary Molossan hoplites. Right. Now, so using this screenshot of this area just to provide a real summary. So we've just had this battle outside of Noria, right there. Our next battle is, which we'll be showing, is at Iadar in Illyria. That is all this part will show, are those two battles. The next part will showcase the battles for Segestica and Delminium, in which we will explain more of what will happen with these territories then. Thank you. And now we are on to our battle for Iadar.
Right, see how this one goes.
Yep. So we
Right,
have
so
our,
who do we have here now?
well, we're fighting an Epirus garrison.
An Epirus garrison.
Yes, basically Epirus.
So what's the deal with these guys exactly?
Garrison.
Yeah, or just about their culture, basically.
Well, the Epirus were, I think they're Greeks. They're known as Molossians, which I think are like maybe some kind of Greek tribe from a long time back, but they were their own slightly distinct, I think, group of Greeks. They bordered, I think, like Illyria, so they might have been a mutual influence there. And they're closer to the Balkans.
Okay.
I don't know a whole lot about what makes them distinct, just they were their own distinct kingdom. I think Alexander's mother was an Epirot princess. Alexander the
Really?
Great. Yeah, I think his mother was an Epirot princess who married his father, Philip II. She was
Interesting.
one of his many wives, because I think the Macedonians like to have polygamous marriages, at least their kings did.
Right.
So Alexander had quite a few siblings also. Well, yeah, here we have our Libby Phoenician thorax swords. You know, pretty nice unit there. So we
The
have...
enemy seems to be pretty thinly spread out defending their territory.
Yeah. Their hoplites are moving towards my hoplites.
The Battle of the Hoplites.
Yep. We have, I think, our Massalian thorax hoplites, our late sacred band. Those are the main ones I know. Yeah, they're getting slaughtered though. Now they're routing.
Well, that was fast.
But enemy cavalry is charged.
Oh, shit. That's not good.
Well, not good for them. Because it's not good to charge straight into a phalanx with cavalry.
Why not?
Because think about this. Fella on a horse charged into a big dense formation of men with spears. Not a good recipe.
A very pointy recipe, if I do say so myself.
Yes. And in fairness, I think horses do not like to charge into big blobs of men with sharp pointy sticks.
Sure, I can't think of any horse that would want to do that.
Indeed. That's why it's silly. Which, even thinking of it, is kind of one of those arguments that was used to counter the idea that this. Thinking back to when I was reading the Art of Scythe Chariots, and Alexander Nephedkin was saying that these things were invented by the Achaemenid Persians, specifically to fight the Greeks.
Yeah?
But then Geoffrey Rupp, in his own article, was saying, but typically horses don't like to charge into these big piles of dense formations of men with their spears, so hardly a big heavy chariot with 4 horses is gonna like that either. Not a very good explanation or summary of it, but the gist here is that was one of his arguments against Nephedkin's suggestion. Was basically the idea of it being designed to counter the Greeks and their phalanx was just doesn't make a lot of sense, really, because you don't really want to charge horses into a phalanx.
What sort of sources did he have for proof?
Well, I think it's just kind of a common sense thing normally. I think it's known enough horses are kind of cowardly animals, so they don't exactly want to charge into such a big blob. But I know, I'm trying to spin a pause as I read the articles. I know one thing interesting to Nephedkin's, whilst we had sources like Ctesias and Xenophon who suggest scythe chariots are older than the Achaemenid Persians, Nephedkin dismissed them. Xenophon, because the source from Xenophon is, I think, the Cyropedia, which is not technically a historical source.
No?
It's not a written history, it's more of a work of fiction for ideological purposes, you could say. And Ctesias, it's simply because he just dismissed Ctesias because even ancient authors thought Ctesias was not a very reliable person in his accounts of things.
I see.
And I'm kind of thinking, even I myself, I was kind of thinking, but like, I don't know much about his Persica, but I have researched his Indica and work on India. And while he had its issues, it wasn't that bad. Well, sort of. Some bits are a bit of a stretch. Some bits, there's a bit of a fair point to it.
Would you say he was reliable enough regardless?
Well, see, but there's the thing though, with Ctesias. See, he was a Greek doctor in the Persian court of Artaxerxes III. So, even if his account on India may not be the best in its reliability, since he never set foot in India, I would reckon that he'd be a little bit better at least regarding Persia, since he's in Persia and will have direct access to Persian sources and people to talk to in the court. But, you know, so I guess there's that element. He could still be pretty reliable sometimes. Now again, there's also another thing to notice, that we don't have anything surviving from Ctesias.
Nothing at all? Like...
None of his work survive.
So how did they even know about it if none of his work survived?
Because ancient authors have talked about Ctesias and they sometimes quoted Ctesias. And, quite significantly, the Byzantine patriarch of Constantinople from, I think, the 11th century, maybe? I don't remember exactly when. Maybe the 9th, actually. Photius. He wrote a series of letters, I think, to his brothers, summarizing various ancient texts. Among them included Ctesias' Persica and Indica,